好，我们接下来继续看这个医疗。人类从这个工业时代之后，因为设备的发明，让人开始比较更健康。医疗的革命之后，人活得更长，所以人的这个越来越多。但是活得多了以后，其实有很多的医疗只是让人活得长，不见得是活得好。所以我们今天来看一下这位医师呢，他所介绍的这个影片告诉我们，医疗的发展有哪一些是对人类未来有很大的影响。那么他是一位相当有名的医生，那么心脏医学家。那么他的这个研究呢，他主持了一个研究机构，这个研究机构是专门训练这个医疗的这个研究工作者。所以从他的这个演讲里面，我们大概更容易，因为他的身份的关系，我们大概更容易看得出来未来的这个发展。所以我们来看一下这个他说的。在这个地方，我特别跟大家介绍一下这个机构。各位看到这个叫做 TED-Med。TED-Med 的意思是什么呢？ TED-Med 的意思是仿照像 TED 一样的一种执行的方式。那么它专门讲的主题就是医疗，所以是 TED 的医疗的这个跟医疗相关的主题的东西。它跟 TED 每一年的年会是分开来办的，是 TED 特别授权的这个 TED 医疗的东西。
Does anybody know when the stethoscope was invented? Any guesses? 1816. And what I can say is in 2016, doctors aren't going to be walking around with stethoscopes. There's a whole lot better technology coming, and that's part of the change in medicine. What has changed our society has been wireless devices. But the future are digital medical wireless devices, okay? So let me give you some examples of this to kind of make this much more concrete. This is the first one. This is an electrocardiogram. And as a cardiologist, to think that you could see in real time a patient, an individual anywhere in the world on your smartphone watching their rhythm, that's incredible, and it's with us today.
他的意思就是说，我们可以拿一个像这样的手机，然后把这个医生的病人，说不定他在台北，那他要让我看到他的心电图，我是这样看到，不是看到一张图，而是看到他的这个整个心电图的这个刚刚出来的心电图的样子。那这个现在都已经是有的。
But that's just the beginning. You check your email while you're sitting here. In the future, you're going to be checking all your vital signs. All your vital signs. Your heart rhythm, your blood pressure, your oxygen, your temperature, etc. This is already available today. This is the airstrip technology. It's now wired, or I should say wireless, by taking the aggregate of these signals in the hospital, in the intensive care unit, and putting on a smartphone for physicians. If you're an expectant parent, what about the ability to monitor continuously fetal heart rate or intrauterine contractions and not having to worry so much that things are fine as the pregnancy and moving over into the time of delivery? And then as we go further, today we have continuous glucose sensors. Right now they're under the skin, but in the future they won't have to be implanted. And of course, the desired range, trying to keep glucose between 75 and less than 200, checking it every 5 minutes in a continuous glucose sensor, you'll see how that can impact diabetes. And what about sleep? We're going to zoom in on that a little bit. We're supposed to spend a third of our life in sleep. What if on your phone, which will be available in the next few weeks, you had every minute of your sleep displayed? And this is, of course, what you can see, the wake is the orange. The REM sleep, rapid eye movement, dream state is in light green, and light is gray, light sleep, and deep sleep, the best restorative sleep, is that dark green. How about counting every calorie? And this is ability to, in real time, to actually take measurements of caloric intake as well as expenditure through a Band-Aid. Now, what I've talked about are physiologic metrics, but when I want to get to the next frontier very quickly, and why the stethoscope is on its way out, is because we can transcend listening to the valve sounds and the breath sounds, because now, introduced by GE, is a handheld ultrasound. Why is this important? Because this is so much more sensitive. Here is an example of abdominal ultrasound and also a cardiac echo, which can be sent wireless, and then there's an example of fetal monitoring on your smartphone. So we're not just talking about physiologic metrics, the key measurements of vital signs and all those things in physiology, but also all the imaging that one could look at in your smartphone. Now, this is an example of another obsolete technology, soon to be buried, the Holter monitor, 24-hour recording, lots of wires. This is now a little tiny patch. You can put it on for 2 weeks and send it in the mail. Now, how does this work? Well, there's the smart Band-Aids or these sensors that one would put on the shoe or on the wrist, and this sends a signal, and it creates a body area network to a gateway. Gateway could be a smartphone or it could be a dedicated gateway, as today many of these things are dedicated gateways because they're not so well integrated.
这个字各位可以学一下，我们通常都是叫做 Local Area Network（LAN）。那这个 Body Area Network 是说，在人体其实它是可以产生电流的，所以它用这样子的一个 Body Area Network， 就用无线的方式呢，就把它送到。贴了一个感知器，就把身上的这个测知的一些数据就送到你的这个手机上去。你的手机就是一个 gateway， 就是一个等于是一个接收跟发送的转运站，再从你的手机再发出去。
That signal goes to the web, the cloud, and then it can be processed and sent anywhere, to a caregiver, to a physician, back to the patient, etc. So that's basically very simplistic technology of how this works. Now, I have this device on. I didn't want to take my shirt off to show you, but I can tell you it's on. This is a device that not only measures cardiac rhythm, as you saw already, but it also goes well beyond that. This is me now. And you can see the ECG. Below that's the actual heart rate and the trends. To the right of that is the bioconductance. That's the fluid status. Fluid status, that's really important if you're monitoring somebody with heart failure. And below that's temperature and respiration and oxygen, and then the position activity. So this is really striking because this device measures 7 things that are very much vital signs for monitoring someone with heart failure. Okay? And why is this important? Well, this is the most expensive bed. What if we could reduce the need for hospital beds? Well, we can. First of all, heart failure is the #1 reason for hospital admissions and readmissions in this country. The cost of heart failure is $37 billion a year, which is 80% related to hospitalization, and in the course of 30 days after a hospital stay for a Medicare greater than 65 years or older, is 27% are readmitted in 30 days. And by 6 months, over 56% are readmitted. So can we improve that? Well, the idea is we take this device that I'm wearing and we put it on 600 patients with heart failure, randomly assigned, versus 600 patients who don't have active monitoring, and see whether we can reduce heart failure readmissions. And that's exciting. And we'll start that trial, and you'll hear more about how we're going to do that. But that's a type of wireless device trial that could change medicine in the years ahead.
这里面有一个字。
Where this is all started. Let me just give you specifics. Why now? Why has this all of a sudden become a reality and exciting direction of the future of medicine? What we have is, in a way, a perfect positive storm. This sets up consumer-driven health.
Consumer-driven 这个的医疗，也就是说消费者去启动的医疗。通常我们以前的疾病是因为我们没有办法随时监视了我们自己，然后把资料送给医院，然后医院随时的再透过机器去监控我们到底是不是健康。所以我们通常被送进医院的时候都是 我们连外行的人都知道啊，他倒下去了，他生病了，才有办法。那么这样子的一个 consumer driven 的一个医疗的行为呢，是说我本身就已经挂了一个机器，所以这个机器我们现在看它是挂在身上，未来可能是在鞋子上面，等一下它会举 Nike 的鞋子等等。那么身上的这些身体的情报就直接送给医院，所以他在机器监控的时候，他可以，比如说我们所有的同学都挂着这样的一个小的东西，就像我挂着这个东西一样，只是它贴在身上，透过身上的电流去发报。那么这些东西，如果我们所有的同学都在一个电脑上面，那电脑被告知说，如果有哪样的异常，他必须要告诉这个监控的人。所以，如果我们有哪一位同学他特别不舒服，他的心脏特别不舒服，他会被看到的。那他还没有自己都还没有知道他已经在异常的时候，这些数值是先显示出来，所以他先被通知他要到医院去照顾。这样子的一个概念，就是我们通常在 marketing 上面是称为负时差的服务。什么叫做负时差的服务呢？正时差的服务是说，你告诉我要什么，我在最短的时间，你告诉我之后的1秒、2秒、3秒、5秒给你服务。负时差的服务是说，你都还不知道要服务的时候，我提早给你服务，那个是负的。意思是说，你还没有知道的时候，我的服务已经告诉你了。所以那样子的一个负时差服务呢，是未来在医疗上面的一个因为我们现在有这样子的一个40亿只的这个手机，那许多的手机都在3G 的这个频带上面，然后这个有非常这个好的连接，那么再加上有很多的 smartphone， 就是说等于是像一部小电脑一样的这个电话，可以让专业的人去使用。那另外一个呢，就是这些在我们身上的感知器呢，也发展得越来越良好，它的发报也越来越准确，所以它才会变成。
Why now? Why has this all of a sudden become a reality, an exciting direction of the future of medicine? What we have is, in a way, a perfect positive storm. This sets up consumer-driven healthcare. That's where this is all starting. Let me just give you specifics about why this is a big movement if you're not aware of it. 1.2 million Americans have gotten a Nike shoe, which is a body area network that connects the shoe, the sole of the shoe, to the iPhone or an iPod. And this Wired magazine cover article, it really captured a lot of this. It talked a lot about the Nike shoe and how quickly that's been adopted to monitor exercise physiology and energy expenditure. Here's some things, there's principles that are guiding principles to keep in mind. A data-driven health revolution promises to make us all better, faster, and stronger, living by numbers. And this one, which is really telling, this was from July, this cover article. The personal metrics movement goes way beyond diet and exercise. It's about tracking every facet of life, from sleep to mood to pain, 24/7, 365. Well, I tried this device. This, you know, a lot of you have gotten that Philips Direct Life. I didn't have one of those, but I got the Fitbit. That looks like this. It's like a wireless accelerometer, pedometer, and I want to just give you the results of that testing because I wanted to understand about the consumer movement. I hope by the way, the Philips Direct Life works better. I hope so. But this monitors food, it monitors activity, and tracks weight. However, you have to put in most of this stuff. The only thing it really tracks by itself is activity, and even then it's not complete. So you exercise and it picks up the exercise. You put in your height and weight, it calculates BMI, and of course it tells you how many calories you're expending from the exercise and how many you took in if you go in and enter all the foods. But it really wants you to enter all your activity. And so I went to this, and of course I was gratified that it picked up the 42 minutes of exercise, elliptical exercise I did, but then it wants more information. So it says, you want to log sexual activity. How long did you do it for? And it says, how hard was it? Furthermore, it says, start time. Now this just doesn't work. I mean, this just doesn't work. So now I want to move to sleep. Who would ever have thought you could have your own EEG at your home, tagged to a very nice alarm clock, by the way. This is the headband, it goes with this alarm clock. it monitors your brain waves continuously when you're sleeping. So I did this thing for 7 days getting ready for TED-Med. This is an important part of our life. 1/3 is supposed to be sleeping. Of course, how many here have any problems with sleeping? It's usually 90%. So some of you sleep better than expected. Okay, well, this is a week of my life in sleeping, and you get a ZQ score. Instead of an IQ score, you get a ZQ score when you wake up. You say, oh, okay. And a ZQ score is adjusted to age, and you want to get as high as you possibly can. And so this is the moment-by-moment, minute-by-minute sleep. And you see that the ZQ there was 80-odd, and the wake time is in orange. And this can be a problem, as I learned, because it not only helps you with your quantifying your sleep, but it also tells others you're awake. So when my wife came in and she could tell me that she could tell you're awake, Eric, I want to talk, and I'm trying to play possum. This thing is very, very impressive. Okay. So that's the first night, and this one on now a 67. That's not a good score. And this tells you, of course, how much you had in REM sleep and deep sleep and all this sort of thing. This was really fascinating because this gave that quantitation about all the different phases of sleep. So it also then tells you how you do compared to your age group. It's like a managed competition of sleep. And really interesting stuff. Look at this thing and say, well, I didn't think I was a very good sleeper. But actually it did better than average in 50 to 60-year-olds, okay? And the key thing was, what I didn't know, was I was a really good dreamer. Okay, now let's move from sleep to diseases. 80% of Americans have chronic disease, or 80% of age greater than 65 have 2 or more chronic diseases. 140 million Americans have 1 or more chronic disease. And 80% of our 1.5 whatever trillion expenditures are related to chronic disease. Now, diabetes is one of the big ones. Almost 24 million people have diabetes. And here's the latest map. It was published just a little more than a week ago in the New York Times. And it isn't looking good. That is, for men, 29% in their country over 60 have type 2 diabetes. And in women, although it's less, it's terribly high. But of course, we have a way to measure that now on a continuous basis with a sensor that detects blood glucose, and it's important because we could detect hyperglycemia that otherwise wouldn't be known, and also hypoglycemia. And you can see the red dots in this particular patient's case were finger sticks, which would have missed both ends. But by continuous monitoring, it captures all that vital information. The future of this, though, is being able to move this to a Band-Aid type phenomena, and that's not so far away.
在这一段里面，他谈到的这个对疾病的监控，我再说一点点，跟各位解释清楚。我们在或者说甚至是现在，我们对于疾病的这个了解是说，你到医院去的时候，他量你的血压，那你下一次再去的时候，他再量，或者是量你的血糖。那么，如果是对于自己这个疾病比较关切的人呢，他很可能血糖他自己用在手指头上插上，然后让血流出来一点点，然后去测一下自己的血糖。可是你也不太可能是叫做随时随地的在监控。那么新的这种医疗，在透过刚刚我们的所谓的感知器，进步的感知器，再加上这个进步的这个随身的机器。所以你可以在一个类似像 iPhone 这样子的一个机器上面去了解你的身体的这个状态，随时随地。那么这种随时随地的状态，我再补充一次，它又可以把它送回去你的医疗的这个机构，让他们在他们的自动化系统上面随时去监控这个人是不是生病。所以这个是我们今天要讲的这个未来的这个发展10多年、20年的发展中间，你马上可以看到的一个很重要的跳跃，就是从生病了以后才去医疗，变成他在生病之前就随时在监控你的身体的状况，这个是现在变成可能。
So let me just give you very quickly 10 top targets for wireless medicine. All these things are possible. Some of them are very close or already, as you heard, available today in some way or form. Alzheimer's disease, there's 5 million people affected, and you can check vital signs, activity, balance. Asthma, A large number, we could detect things like pollen count, air quality, respiratory rate, breast cancer. I'll show you an example of that real quickly. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, depression, there's a great approach to that, and mood disorders, diabetes, I've just mentioned, heart failure, we already talked about, hypertension, 74 million people could have continuous blood pressure monitoring to come up with a much better management and prevention. And obesity, we already talked about the ways to get to that, and sleep disorders. This is effective around the world. The access to smartphones and cell phones today is extraordinary. And this article from The Economist summed it up beautifully about the opportunities in health across the developing world. Mobile phones have made a bigger difference to the lives of more people more quickly than any previous technology. And that's before we got going in the M-Health world.
他刚刚讲是说，像这种的监控，它不只是连续性的监控，它还是全球性的监控，所以你可以跑到这个另外一个国家去，可是你的医疗机构还是在另外一个国家可以看到你的这个所有该注意到的数据。
Aging, the problem is enormous. 300,000 broken hips per year, but the solutions are extraordinary, and they include so many different things. One of the ones I just wanted to mention, the iShoe is another example of a sensor that improves proprioception among the elderly to prevent falling. One of many different techniques using wireless sensors. So we can change medicine across the continuum of care, across the ages from preemies or unborn children to seniors. The pharmaceutical arena changes the full spectrum of disease. I hope I've given you a sense of that across the globe. There are two things that can really accelerate this whole process. One of them, we're very fortunate, is to develop a dedicated institute, and that's work that started with the work at Scripps with Qualcomm, and then the great fortune of meeting up with Gary and Mary West to get behind this Wireless Health Institute. San Diego is an extraordinary place for this. There's over 650 wireless companies, 100 of which or more are working in wireless health. It's the #1 source of commerce, and interestingly, it dovetails beautifully with over 500 life science companies. The Wireless Institute, West Wireless Health Institute, is really the outgrowth of two extraordinary people who are here this evening, Gary and Mary West, and I'd like to give it up for them for getting behind this. Their fantastic philanthropic investment made this possible, and this is really a nonprofit education center which is just about to open. It looks like this whole building dedicated, and what it's trying to do is accelerate this era, to take unmet medical needs, to work and innovate, and we just appointed the chief engineer, Mehran Maragani, was announced on Monday, then to move up with development, clinical trial validation, and then changing medical practice, the most challenging thing of all, requiring attention to reimbursement, healthcare policy, healthcare economics. The other big thing, besides having this fantastic institute to catalyze this process, is guidance, and that's of course relying on the fact that medicine goes digital. If we understand biology from genomics and omics and wireless through physiologic phenotyping, that's big, because what it does is allow convergence like we've never had before. Over 80 major diseases have been cracked at the genomic level, but this is quite extraordinary. More has been learned about the underpinnings of disease in the last 2.5 years than the history of man. And when you put that together with, for example, now an app for the iPhone with your genotypes to guide drug therapy, but the future, we can now tell who's going to get type 2 diabetes from all the common variants, and that's going to get filled in more with low frequency variants in the future. We can tell who's going to get breast cancer from the various genes. We can also know who's likely to get atrial fibrillation. And finally, another example, sudden cardiac death. Each of these has a sensor. We can give glucose sensor for diabetes to prevent it. We can prevent or have the earliest detection.
他在这一段讲到的另外一个概念是说，疾病不只是您发生了以后，它开始可以进步到这个连续的在监控你的这个该提供的数据。它更重要的是在更早以前，因为基因的研究的发展，已经可以知道哪一种基因的这个情况，你比较容易得到什么样的病，所以就可以提早长期的去监控。那提早长期的去监控，就是说你开始有一点点的现象的时候，就可以提早治疗。 我想这些都是属于在医学上的这个很重大的一个革命跟演化。
Have the earliest detection possible for breast cancer with an ultrasound device given to the patient. An eye patch, eye rhythm for atrial fibrillation, and a vital sign monitoring to prevent sudden cardiac death. We lose 700,000 people a year in the US with sudden cardiac death. So I hope I've convinced you of this, that the impact on hospital clinic resources is profound, and then the impact on diseases is equally impressive across all these different diseases and more. It's really taking individualized medicine to a new height, and it's hyper innovative, and I think it represents the black swan of medicine. Thanks for your attention.